Welcome to the second video. The first video was all about just an introduction to me, what I'm doing, and I've just basically bought this Westerly Centaur 1969. So my priority at the moment was to get the bottom of the boat ready to go into the water. So this video is all about sanding and filling and sanding and more filling. So I hope you enjoy. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to fill in some holes in the boat. Well, not holes, I mean just general dents. So what I've done is I've sanded all this flat yesterday, and I've still got massive chips. So what I'm going to attempt to do is I've got some, sorry about the wind. Yeah, so I've got some hempel. So yeah, some hempel, which is like 2-part, like a curing agent. Basically you mix the two together. It's like an epoxy filler. Put it into the gaps and hopefully fill up all of these big chunky chips. Now over the other side, I don't know if you can see, but over this side there's some quite big chips. So the surface area that I need to cover is quite massive. So I have ordered some more epoxy filler, because I'm going to need more than just these 2 little tubs here. I've got some thinners. Obviously what I'm going to do with the name is thin it down so it's not as thick paste. So I should be able to smooth it over quite nicely, hopefully. It's quite funny watching this back because I'm just editing the video now, and it's quite interesting to see how slow I was at putting the filler in when I first started. I've got more filler on order because the holes were pretty deep, so I haven't had enough to fill everything. So there is bits here, this looks like real dodgy, but all of this still needs more filler on top of it. So anyway, what I'm going to do is the bits that are done, I'm just going to sand off any rough areas, and then I'm still going to have a few pits in it where it needs extra filler later. So round the side here, I have sanded this, so I filled it in and sanded it off, but again there is still certain areas where it needs more filler. So I guess it's a bit of a slow process. I mean, I did obviously have enough filler to go in there, but the holes were pretty deep, so I'd rather do maybe a few layers and then build it up as it goes, and then just add more if I need it. At least if I do sand all of this off, which I have now, I can still see quite clearly the gaps that need a bit more filler in. So yeah, and then when I get the more filler, when that arrives, I'll just finish these bits off, like here. Could do with a bit more, but it's getting there, it's getting there. Okay, so we're still on the fins, but I think there should be one last bit of filler that's needed. So I've forgotten how many fillers I've used. I've used blue filler first, then white filler, and then now a brownie caramel filler, which is this latest one up the top. So in the video, I don't know if you would have picked up before, but these fins bolt onto here, and there was a massive gap in here. So what I've done is I've just filled all of that in, and I'm trying to make it slightly curved. I mean, potentially later years and so on, I can build on this and make it bigger. I know it's sort of like a bigger arch. Just looking at other boats and stuff, you can see this one that's next to me. Mine was like separate fin, separate keel, and it looks like they filled all of this in. So I'm just copying what they've done. So I've got a small curve here where it's just all filled in, so that clear gap that there was, or divide, is just kind of hidden. So, but I've got patches here where the filler again covering all this. The last filler that I've got, this latest one, is better than the white one. It doesn't set as quickly, but by the time I was doing large bits to try and get into this curve, I was doing large batches at a time, and it was getting cakey. So even though it was easier to work with, because I was doing quite big batches, it was still setting fairly quickly, but not as quick as the white stuff. So my favourite one was the blue one, and the easiest to work with, but this one yesterday, working with that, was so much better. The white one is so bad that actually, even though this was getting cakey here, it was so much more of a dream working with that than this white crap. I would not recommend it, and I'll show you the tin later on of what the white one is and what to avoid, because you know it like sets in a minute. You can sand it in a minute. It's absolutely crazy. Right, I'm just going to pause the video here, because when I had the boat surveyed, the guy that came and surveyed the boat told me that I probably shouldn't have filled those gaps in between the keel and the hull of the boat. He said that when it goes into the water, it's just going to flex and it's all going to break off. So maybe it's some waste of time, I don't know. And then because he came to survey the boat, he said because I'd filled it in, he couldn't actually analyse it or basically look at that section to see what it was like. So yeah, maybe if you're watching this and you've got the same thing where you've got a gap, don't fill it in, I don't know, or fill it in. It's up to you. Very windy, but the sun's actually quite nice and warm. So this one's not too bad. I think there is maybe a bit there I need to fill in, and at the back here you can see the dark bit where I've sanded off here, and there's still slight pits in here, so I might just make a little bit up and try and just get that in there rather than spend ages trying to sand it down, because sanding takes ages, chucking filler in doesn't take as long. But yeah, it's looking pretty good. So this had massive pits all over it, and there are bits here that could still have a tiny bit of filler in, or it's going to take me forever to sand it down, but I'm not. The filler that I've got is too thick to go into these small gaps here. So I have got, thinking about it, a tiny bit of really thin filler left that I was using for the paint cracks along the side of the boat here. So I might try and use the rest of that for these slight dips that I've got in there rather than taking ages sanding. But the problem is this thinner stuff here, it's not epoxy filler, so I didn't need to mix the two different types of stuff together. So I'm not sure actually how strong it's going to be. It was maybe okay for the small paint cracks and then to paint over it just to smooth it in, but might not be okay for the thin down here. I don't know, if I've got some spare I'll just chuck it in and see what happens. So yeah, I'm going to use the last of this pot here. This one is actually car body filler that I got from Euro Car Parts, which is absolutely solid, absolutely solid. So it's like car body filler, but I can't, the other stuff was taking, like I said, 4 days if I was ordering it from the marine specialist to get over here, and I just want to get this done, finished and painted. So at least using all these different fillers, I'll be able to review them maybe only in a year's time if they're still knocking around, and see what's lasted, even though they're used on different parts of the boat, but we will see. Right, I think I can say I'm officially done with filler now. I've just put some more on, but I have got massive streaky lines in there, which when that goes hard it's going to take quite a while to sand, but at least it's an electric sander. I've still got holes forming in there, so I wasn't managed to fill all of it. And I think the problem, and the reason is because my spatulas are really cakey and they've got loads of hard bits on them. And I bought 10 spatulas thinking they were enough. Then I went and got these metal ones in packs of 3. And then I got another black spatula here, actually came with the filler. That was really good. So I think it was just, and I've gone through so many spatulas that are all mullered, and obviously this stuff dries really fast. And then those little solid bits cause drag when you're trying to smooth and fill in, because they're harder than the filler that you're using. So they cause these pits and lines and drags. Yesterday, when I first did it, it worked out really well, and I think that's because I had a new spatula. So my advice would be always buy more spatulas if I did this again, but that's it. I'm fed up with filling. I've filled it so much, so I'm just going to persevere and just spend longer sanding off those deep grooves. Right, so all those rough, ripply bits have been sanded, so this is now a smooth, don't know if you can see, but it's now a smooth curvature. So where the boat actually meets this, whatever this is called, I call it a whale fin, because it looks like a whale fin. But yeah, so lush, nice. So what I'm going to do is just do underneath. So I've got that side to do, and then in there to do, and then sand the side of the boat, and then it's ready for paint, finally. So I'm going to get sanding underneath. I'm probably going to smash my back on the bottom of the boat a few times. I have got a few bruises, but you know, needs to be done, and then paint away. And in case you're wondering, there is a happy ending. And I did manage to get it all filled and sanded, and this is the end result. Also here as well, you can see I'm actually doing work on the inside of the boat, so I'm cutting out worktops to try and fit the curvature of the boat on the inside. So like and subscribe if you want to see some of that. Thanks for watching.